July 27th, 2020. At this time, we'll have a call to order. I'll just go in a row, quick roll call, excuse me. Ms. Terrell,
Present.
Ms. Piles,
Present.
Ms. Beard,
Present.
Ms. Kennard,
Present.
Ms. Funderburg, Ms. Funderburg, okay, we'll move forward. Mr. Martell, myself, present. We have a quorum. I believe Ms. Funderburg is with us, and others should be joining us shortly. At this point in time, we're going to move into the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me at this time for the pledge. Excuse me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to move into the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be the first item of the business under the report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. Item A, to approve the minutes of the Board of Education of the regular meeting of July 13th, 2020. And item B, to approve the bills for payment as submitted by Angela Rudolph, Director of Business and Operations, in the amount of $308,556.99. Is there a motion, please?
Mr. President, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented. This is Funderburg.
Support. Mrs.
Moved
Beard.
by Ms. Funderburg, supported by
Mrs. Beard.
Ms. Beard. If there's no discussion, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. President, there's only one change I see that needs to be made. I misspelled my name. It says Wetter. It should be Wester. So that's the only change.
Okay. I don't believe that we have to remove it for that minor edit. If somebody believes we do, please correct me if I'm wrong.
I think we can just restate the motion to accept the consent agenda with the designated change of correcting Wester.
That was on the minutes.
Yes.
So moved.
Yeah, for the roll call, yes.
I
Okay.
support that. Beard.
Thank
So
you.
moved by Ms. Funderburg, supported by Ms. Beard. Can we have a roll call, please? Thank you, Ms. Weston.
You're welcome. Funderburg,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Martell.
Yes. Consent agenda care is approved. We're now going to move into the public comment portion of the agenda. Now, this is regarding agenda items only, to which we do have a few. Before we begin, Ms. Piles, could you please read the disclaimer as it relates to the public comment?
Sure. Guidelines for audience participation. The Board of Education welcomes audience participation at its meetings. These guidelines, which are based on the Board of Education bylaws and policies, are intended to facilitate the orderly conduct of the audience participation portion of Board of Education meetings. The district encourages parents, students, and others to resolve issues at the building level whenever possible, with the teacher or building principal or assistant principal. Issues not resolved at the building level may be addressed to the appropriate central office administrator and then, if necessary, to the superintendent. The Board of Education discourages parents, students, and others from addressing the Board of Education on issues that have not been processed in this fashion and will, in such cases, direct the person addressing the Board of Education to the appropriate administrator. Persons wishing to address the Board of Education must enter their name and desire to do so in the chat portion of Google Meet. The board president will recognize the speakers and afterward ask if there are any participants who are joining by phone who would also like to participate in public comments. Speakers must limit their comments to 3 minutes or less, unless, due to the number of persons desiring to address the board's president limits comments to 2 minutes or less. Speakers may not defer any part of their time to others. Speakers must identify themselves by name and provide their address if desired. Speakers representing organizations or groups should indicate whether their comments represent the official position of those organizations or groups. Speakers should observe the rules of common courtesy. Personal attacks on board members and district employees will not be tolerated. Board members and district employees may request the board entertain complaints against them in closed session. The audience participation portion of Board of Education meetings does not exceed 30 minutes. Board of Education members may question speakers to gain additional information. However, the Board of Education does not debate audience participation items. The Board of Education reserves the right to take any action permitted by law to ensure order at its meetings, including the expulsion of disorderly persons.
Thank you, Ms. Biles. At this point in time, I'm going to open the floor up to the public for public comment agenda items only. Are there any members of the public which wish to address the board? Regarding agenda items only. And we will wait just a few moments. Again, if there's anybody from the public that wishes to address the board, unmute yourself and the floor is yours. Okay, we're going to move forward into the next portion of agenda, keeping in mind that there is a public comment at the end of the meeting as well. At this point in time, I'm going to turn the floor over to our interim superintendent, Ms. Nicole Crockett.
Good evening, everyone. For the first personnel action item, actually, we will need to have the agenda amended. We will move that to next week. Our HR director has been under the weather, and so we are needing to get that contract signed. So we will have that signed and ready to go next week. Does it need to be amended now, or can we move forward?
Whatever is your preference. If you prefer to have it moved to next week, I think that may be more preferable.
Yes.
Mrs. Crockett, if you would rather have approval pending the signature and have that moved out of the way, we could do that as well.
That would be great.
Just to prevent a cluster in future meetings.
Right.
So whatever's your desire, if you want to present that to us.
Well, you know, it should be fine next week. There won't need to be a lot to go with it. So it should go quickly. We should be fine.
Are you talking next week or our regular scheduled meeting? We're having a special meeting next week?
Yes, ma'am. We're having a special meeting next week, a study session next week for the Michigan Safe Start Plan, which is the FYI that I'm going to introduce in about 68 seconds. Well, no, after the policy meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Crockett. If you want to move forward, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, should we just postpone it then? You can just postpone it until our next board meeting.
Great.
Okay. The next action item is the policy committee got together to review the policy updates, and that was Ms. Beard, Ms. Kennard, and myself. And so we need to bring those forward. Those documents were provided to the board if there's any discussion, and then move to approve them.
Thank you, Ms. Crockett. Is there any member from the policy committee which wanted to speak upon the recommended policy changes?
Yes, Mr. President, I'll make the motion and then I can go through the changes.
Thank you.
Second.
I recommend that the Board of Education waive the first reading of the policy changes that are listed below on the topic sheet, and I will name those in a few seconds, per our bylaw 1003, and approve the policy changes as noted. Policy number,
I'm sorry.
okay, policy 4002, discrimination and harassment, and policy 8007, discrimination and harassment, are both being updated due to changes in Title IX. Policy 1001, one second here, let me. The changes in 1001, I believe, is just the wording. And everybody should have gotten copies of all of the changes. The wording was basically changed to change the description of immediate family members. Step family members were added to the language.
Okay.
On policy number, hold on, I'm going back and forth here. So on policy number 1002, meetings of the board and special meetings, there was language put in there for I'm sorry. It was to make sure that it was in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. It changed that notices for special meetings would be changed from 24 to 18 hours notice. And that was just so that it was in alignment with the Open Meetings Act. Policy 2002 and policy 3001 basically both say the same thing. So what's being suggested is 2002 will be removed from the policy manual and policy 3001 will remain with no change to the language. Policy 2006, which is for attendance and truancy. Actually, they changed the language on that and made it a little more descriptive. It also assigns who is the position that's responsible for enforcing the policy, and it also lists who the party is that would report attendance and truancy if a parent is failing to comply with the school attendance laws. Policy 2007. We did get some clarification from Les Galbertson on this one because we weren't sure about the language that was being removed. So at a later date, we will be coming back to this because they're supposed to be presenting us with a new policy for the portion that's being removed, because we do have opioid antagonists that are that we do have in our buildings. So on policy 2007, basically they removed all the language from 2007 that references opioid antagonists, and they will be providing us with a new policy at a later date, and the opioid antagonist policy will stand alone by itself. Policy 4002, which is for nepotism. That had the same language added as conflict of interest. It was language that is more descriptive of your family members, and it included your step family, stepfather, stepmother, son, daughter, step or half brother, half sisters. or any person who resides at the same location as a board member or employee. The next item was policy 5003, which is a purchasing policy. It was done to be for clarity and for precision. We made the changes that they suggested, but we kept in the language for, let's see. We kept the language where we said that the superintendent authorizes the superintendent to make purchases not to exceed $10,000 per individual item purchases. We kept that language in our policy, and Lusk Albertson is aware of that. So when we approve that, then they will change it back to include that sentence, and that'll be part of our manual. And then the last one is policy. It's a brand new policy. It's 6013. It's basically for stormwater discharge. Our policy actually just it's one sentence. The meat of this will be in the administrative regulations. And it's basically in the administrative regulations, it'll explain where our stormwater discharge has to go to based on, local, state, and federal requirements. And those are all of our all of the policy changes that should bring us current with everything new that's going on at this point.
Thank you so much, Trustee Beard. Is there a motion on the floor regarding, well, I believe there already was a motion by Ms.
Right.
Beard. There was support by Ms. Piles. Is there any questions for the policy committee regarding the recommended policy?
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Can I ask when the revisions were sent out, or the updates, when were they sent out?
We received these on July. Well, there was some that came out in May, and then there was a second batch that came out in July. July 17th, I think, was when the second batch came out.
Now, was that sent, is that over? Was that sent via email?
They're sent out via email, yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. President, I had a question.
Yes, ma'am. The floor is yours.
On policy 2006, it references, for truancy, it references our school resource officer. Do we have the autonomy to change it if that school resource officer piece changes? Because I'll just base it on this. There are a lot of school districts that have been contemplating whether or not to keep school resource officers in or out of school in this climate, the social climate that we have with Black Lives Matter and that kind of thing. So
Yes,
I'm just wondering if we have the flexibility to change it if that's, something that kind of, came down the road or.
Yes, it can be changed. I did ask Anya Lusk with Lusk Albertson, and it's just our responsibility just to mention what that position is that's responsible for that duty. And right now, currently, the school resource officer is the one that's responsible for that duty.
All right, thank you.
Question, Mr. President?
And this is,
Yes, we'll go Ms. Piles and then Ms. Kennard next, please.
So my question regarding policy 1002, the change to post our open meetings is being changed from 24 hours notice to 18 hours notice. I know that is in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. Did our district just make the decision previously to give 24 hours notice, or did this change statewide?
I'm assuming because Lusk Albertson presented it to us that it was changed statewide.
Okay.
And also, this is we did do our due diligence in looking and researching that, and it appeared that our district was not up to date with the standard of the 18-hour versus the 24 for a period of time. So we did check into that thoroughly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
And in
Kennard.
response to, yes, thank you, Mr. President. And I just wanted to add to the comment pertaining to the question with the truancy. We, as a committee, did have an extensive conversation and drilling and looking at it to make sure that if we're having to make any adjustments at any given point in time after we approve this, then we're able to do so. So I just wanted to add to that. We did have extensive conversation pertaining to that particular item. And thank you for that question.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard. Thank you, board members. Is there any additional? If not, we will go into a roll call vote.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. So I just wanted to make sure that and I guess for clarity of our listening audience, that if we are waiving this first reading and going into our second reading, then that means that these policies will be posted as our policy. So this is kind of that final say, and they'll be made policy. So I just wanted to make sure that that's what this was tonight.
Yes,
just so that
is
okay.
correct.
Okay, okay.
And Lusk, after tonight, like probably tomorrow morning, I'll send Anya Albertson, Anya Lusk at Lusk Albertson, the information that, we approved all the changes, and give her the wording on some of the items, because some of the items we didn't take all of their wording, but I did verify it with her as far as the legality, making sure that we weren't changing any law, changing something that the law doesn't want us to change. And she said, no, everything that we had changed wording on was fine. And so then I will let her know tomorrow that we approved these changes. She will then make the changes to our policy manual. She will then send Mary Kennedy a copy of the web version to be posted to the website with all the updates in it.
Thank you, Ms. Beard. Is there any additional, board? If not, can we have a roll call, please, Ms. Wester?
Piles,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Thunderbird,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Martell.
Yes, motion carries. I just want to thank the committee for being proactive in taking care of the updated policies, and make sure that the district post them online on our website, please. Next, we have, I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Crockett. There's a facility use request.
Yes, next we have a facilities use request from the Romulus Recreation Department, Movies in the Park, and I believe Ms. Tanya Cofield is here with us to provide some insight.
Hi, this is Maria Lambert. I don't know that Tanya is able to get reception, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Can you please provide a little more information about the Movies in the Park and what it is that you're requesting from the board?
Sure. We'd like to use the field behind the senior center for a drive-in theater. We're doing the first Friday of the next 3 months, beginning this Friday, and then hopefully rain dates would be the following Friday if needed. We have it set up so that you can just drive in with your car, and you will be able to get reception on your phone, so you won't have to get out of the car. And we'll be showing a movie mostly for the children.
Thank you, Ms. Lambert. Is there any questions for Ms. Lambert for the from the board? Or I'm sorry, why don't we put a motion on the floor so we can get into discussion, and then if there's any questions, we can direct them at that time.
Mr. President, this is Ms. Kennard.
Yes,
Recommended
ma'am.
motion, be it resolved that the Board of Education approve requests for building use at Olive Street property for Movies in the Park on July 31st, August 8th, and September 25th from 4:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. by Romulus Parks and Recreation. The rationale, this is a community event. Exhibit, we have facilities use agreement.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard. So moved by Ms. Kennard. Is there support, please?
Support, Piles.
Supported by Ms. Piles. If there's any discussion at this time or questions for Ms. Lambert,
I have a question, Mr. President.
please.
My internet service was in and out, so I apologize. Did you state, Ms. Lambert, it's the first Friday of each month for 3 months?
Right. Well, beginning this Friday, so it would be August. Is this Friday, August 1st?
No,
It-
it's
July 31st.
It's July 31st.
August, the first Friday in August, first Friday in September. And I don't know if Tanya had mentioned October also, because we're not sure of the weather then.
Okay, so it's this Friday and the first Friday in August. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. This Friday is July 31st.
Right. And then it would be let's see. Is there a motion there that she submitted, or?
No, I don't see that. So I just want to clarify the dates.
So it would be this Friday.
Actually,
The
if you
next
excuse
one
me
I-
just one moment.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
I can
Mary,
help
I
you.
have it.
okay.
It's listed on the facilities rental. I'm sorry, this is Mrs.
Right.
Beard. The facilities
Yeah.
rental agreement lists the dates of 7/31, 8/28, and 9/25.
Yes, I'm sorry, I have that here and I didn't think to look.
Okay, so my other question is, and this is at no cost to the district, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We'll be,
And will the license to show the movie be obtained? So that,
they always receive licenses. We're not sure. We have two in mind right now. We don't know which one, but we always purchase licenses for these movies.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This
I
is
have a question. This is Kennard.
please go ahead, Ms. Kennard.
Thank you. So the movies, are there going to be different movies at each one of the dates, or once you select the one movie, is it going to be consistent, or at this time they haven't made a decision?
Nope, we have a different movie at each one. We purchased,
Thank you.
we purchased a new one for each one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lambert, if I may, this is Ed Martell. I just want to say that I invite any and all collaboration with the city, and I'm very, I'm much in favor of offering this type of opportunity for the community to get out of the house and, safe distance, social distance, et cetera. So,
Right.
very, very happy to support this.
Well, thank you. And we'll take any suggestions or constructive criticism.
If there's no additional discussion, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Thunderbird,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Martell.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this point in time, I'm going to turn the floor back over to Ms. Crockett regarding the Safe Start plan.
Okay, I am going to share my screen. 1 second. Just a quick, just a slide here to show the timeline for submitting our Michigan Safe Start back to school plan. And so some people may know, some may not know that once the governor released the Michigan Safe Start plan or guidelines, every district was expected to complete a full plan on how schools were to return safely. And so what does wearing masks look like at what grade level? What does social distancing look like? What is the cleaning protocol? What will happen with respect to buses? How will we keep students safe? When we're in phases 1, 2, and 3, what will virtual learning look like? Will students have devices? All of these things are a part of this plan. And so this plan must be approved by the local school board, and it must be approved after that and posted on our website by August 17th. So with that, this Wednesday, the plan is to submit the draft to the board and to the district for review. And at that point, we will be seeking feedback, input. On next Monday, August 3rd, we would like to have a study session with the board to review any areas that need to be clarified. We would love to have the community involved in this. So we would post this to let everyone know that it would be discussed on August 3rd. And then the plan is to have the plan approved on August 10th so that we can submit it in plenty of time to Wayne Risa so that they can send it to MDE. Are there any questions about that?
Mr. President, I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this August 3rd date firm? I do work elections.
Oh, yeah.
And so the day before the elections, the day of the elections is an all-day thing.
Yeah.
And so, and I really would like to be a part of the study session because it's, of course, the importance of it. Is there any flexibility about that date?
Well, that's up to you all. That's up to you all.
I would agree. I mean, I think there's a lot of us that may be very busy around the 3rd and the 4th. Perhaps the 5th might be best for the study session if we're not doing anything else on the day.
We have second round interviews on the 5th and 6th.
5th and 6th.
We have second round interviews.
Thanks, Ms. Wester, because I was thinking like there's something on that date.
Yeah.
Do we have any other alternative proposed dates that would work for?
Not to meet
Friday the 31st?
Not to meet the guideline.
August the 7th?
No.
Could we move it sooner? To
The 2nd,
31st of
maybe?
July?
That's the 1st or the 2nd? Probably the 2nd. Are we doing something on the 2nd?
The 2nd is a Sunday.
That's a Sunday.
My apologies. I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Could we do it the Friday before on the 31st?
Good with me.
I'm not available. I'm on vacation, so I'm not available.
Whatever is the preference of the board. Perhaps we may want to poll the board after the meeting, or
would you like to do the study session on the 10th and then maybe do this?
That's pushing it, Crockett.
Yeah, it is. I'm trying.
We have a regular meeting on the 10th.
Right.
And I believe that we had made that date available to Dr. Vernon Hartman for his CTE report.
Okay.
perhaps we can maybe revisit this as far as the dates. As far as at least that date. That way we're not stalemated on it and we can move forward with the agenda. But
Mr.
Maybe-
President, I think the problem is that we have a timeline. We have to meet with the state.
Right.
no, I understand. Okay, well then let's figure out what works best for everybody.
So August 6th wasn't available?
We're scheduled for second round interviews according to the timeline that Jay sent us.
I thought it was on the 5th, so it got changed to the 6th?
It's the 5th and the 6th.
It's the 5th and the 6th.
Oh, okay. Just have
And
it for the one day. Okay.
So we have, that's what I was gonna ask, the 7th or the
7th
8th?
work?
I'm fine with the 7th.
I'm available.
I'm available.
Is there anybody not available on the 7th?
What time on the 7th? I have plans on the 7th. What time on the 7th?
You have what, Miss Wester? I'm sorry.
I have plans.
Okay.
It's a Friday. It's my
What-
kid's birthday.
What
Oh.
time are, right, what time are you available?
I'm really not available because I'm trying to do something all day.
How long do you anticipate that this would take place?
I would say roughly an hour.
That's what I was thinking.
This should be the only thing on the agenda. There's nothing else should be on the agenda, right?
Correct. And we'd have an opportunity to have it for a week in advance or more than a week, so we should be prepared. Maybe just a 6 to 7.
Okay.
Okay, so you just really confused me.
Yeah, because
So,
we just
July-
postponed action A to the next. You said we were postponing action A to next week.
Oh, right,
Which
right.
gives us two things on that agenda.
Okay, can we do that?
I'm not opposed.
That's fine. That we just have 2 agenda items
On Monday,
on
the
Monday.
3rd.
Yeah.
The 3rd.
I'm sorry, what day are we doing this? Are we doing this the 3rd or the 7th?
We're
trying
going back to the 3rd.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, we're back to the 3rd?
Yeah, because she said it should be no longer than an hour.
But Ms. Terrell was not available on the 3rd.
She
Um,
asked what the time frame was going to be, how long the meeting was going to be.
Okay, so then,
Not for the 3rd. The 3rd
No.
is the day before the election. The 4th is the election. And so
Okay, I misunderstood because we were all going back and forth about from the 3rd to the 7th.
the 7th is the day that I am available. I'm just asking as far as the time so that I can lock that in.
Got it,
on my calendar.
misunderstood. Sorry.
So we're at the 7th between 6 and 7, 2 agenda items, correct?
I won't be there.
so we, Mr. Cooper record this then for Ms. Wester's review?
I'm sorry, did you want to propose a different date and time, Ms. Wester? So, we want to make sure everybody participates.
There's really not another date and time because we have elections on Tuesday. We have the second round interviews Wednesday and Thursday. I'm not it. I can't always. I'm on vacation now, and I've rearranged my schedule for 3
Okay,
days this week.
if you're not opposed, then we'll, guess we'll leave it at that date then. Ms. Crockett, please go ahead.
I was wondering if it would help if we could change the time to 5 instead of 6. Would that help?
Can it even be done earlier than that? I mean, can we do 4 o'clock unless people are still working? At 5 o'clock, I'm not going to be available on Friday evening. I'm not.
Okay, so my question is, would it make it easier if we could do it earlier at 4 o'clock?
If it could be done at 4, I would still, as long as everything is done within that hour, because I may have to leave out, I can push 4, but preferably Friday was not good for me, but I can do 4.
Okay, Mr. President? Mr. President, if it's not opposing to any board member, how about changing the time to 4 o'clock on August 7th?
Whatever is the preference of the board, I'm not opposed to.
That's fine.
August 7th at 4 p.m. Correct?
I'm good with.
Is that correct? August 7th at 4 p.m.?
Yes,
I'm good
Mr.
with 4
President.
p.m.
Okay,
That's fine.
sounds
Yes,
good.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, we will be hearing the Michigan Return to School Plan, and we will be voting on the contract. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct, Ms. Powell.
Ms. Crockett, was there any additional on this, or
No.
were you open?
No,
Okay,
that was.
Are we waiting until what point will we be sharing the plan with the public? I've received a lot of parents reaching out, etc., and they want to have enough time to prepare for this upcoming year.
So that information is queued for after this meeting. So that will go out this evening. And this Michigan Safe Start actual plan will, in a draft version, be posted on the website for everyone's review as well.
And that will be posted when? I'm sorry.
That will be posted on July 29th.
Excellent. Thank you.
I have a question about this, Mr. President. As
Yes,
we
ma'am.
consider the different options, will we also be given the costs of operating, the operations costs? Like if we're looking at face-to-face and 100% remote and a hybrid, can we get a breakdown of the costs associated with doing those?
It's going to take, that's not anything that's readily known right now. I'm sure that once we are in it, we can see the differences between how we operated before and what's happening. But because we're still working the plan, it's going to, creating the plan, we're going to have to work the plan to have any definitive answers for that.
Okay. The reason I was asking is if we were doing any kind of a hybrid where there'd be additional costs for cleaning between groups of people, that's what I was inquiring about.
Okay. In general, we, as we look at our Safe Start plan, there will be more monies spent on cleaning. There will be more monies spent on PPE. There will be more monies spent on things that are required to run efficiently and safely. So some of that is coming out of CARES Act money. Some things had to be ordered. Masks had to be ordered. Shields had to be ordered. So all of that is a part of that plan moving forward.
Okay.
If that helps.
Yes. And one more question to this. Has staff been surveyed to find out, do we know how many are not coming back due to personal safety concerns or compromised immune systems? Do we have that number so we know how many staff members we're working with or not as we develop these plans?
So we have had roughly 1/3 of the staff respond so far. I sent that survey out again today, right before this And we have to have everyone's participation on this. And so if that means we have to reach out and find people, we will do so, because we have to know. We have to know what every single person's situation is so that we can plan accordingly.
Yes, thank you.
This is Kennard speaking.
Yes.
What Debbie was asking, I think I want to add to that. What she's asking is for budget projections pertaining to what it perhaps may cost. It's a what if, and so with a what if, you could change as the expenses and as you get more into the expenditure of spending. So, for instance, you have a budget that's allocated for the program, and you have a projection that's based on a percentage, and there's a what if. And so that's what she's asking for. She's not asking for something that is identified as what it's going to be, but something that will give us an idea in terms of what we have in dollar amount based on a certain percentage, what we may estimate that we will be spending, so that we can have something to gauge. That's what she's asking for. So that can be done based on not knowing exactly what you're spending.
I understand. So that we have that meeting tomorrow. So we have our critical response team, our Michigan Safe Start team meeting tomorrow. And so we will have better estimates based on, because this is when we are actually walking down what exactly is being purchased and what is exactly being implemented. So the reason why you're not getting it until Wednesday is because that we're working on that over the next 2 days.
Thank you, Ms. Crockett. Is there any additional from the board? Thank you, Ms. Crockett. We'll move forward into the next portion of the agenda, which is your FYI number 2 regarding the interim assistant principal.
And that this is just simply an FYI, especially during COVID times. We understand that there is going to be a need for additional support when it comes to planning and implementation of the plan. And so because we do not have currently an assistant principal at the high school, we will be seeking to bring someone, and not bring someone in, utilize a staff member who is already there to support in this additional work. We have effectively reduced the high school administrative staff. And so we're kind of working with the skeleton crew. And this is just an FYI to let the board know that we need to move in the direction of just having someone support temporarily. That's all.
Thank you. At this point in time, we're going to move forward into the report of the Director of Business and Operations. I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Angela Rudolph, please.
Thank you. The first item you should have in your packet and that is the Custodial Services Bid Award. Would someone like to make a motion on that? Do you have the topic sheet?
Yes, I'm looking in the drive now. Please, if there's a board member that would like to make the motion, please.
I'll read the motion. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approve the attached bid award to Auxilio for custodial/maintenance. The rationale is Auxilio was the lowest possible bidder. There have been 2 areas of concern which were addressed in their bid as follows. We will not be required to pay a pool of overtime hours up front. We will not be responsible for overtime that occurs when one staff member covers someone else's shift due to an absence or lack of a sub. I will have Thurn work on the contract, which we will be using our own contract opposed to signing theirs to ensure that all language is favorable for us. The budget implication is $1,061,550, and the bid tabulation is attached.
Kennard.
Moved by Ms. Wester, supported by Ms. Kennard. Is there any discussion, please?
Mr. President, this is Teresa Beard. What is the length of this? Is this a 3-year or is this just for 1 year?
This is I believe it is for 2 years with a extension if we so choose.
Mr. President, so will the contract be coming back before us for a vote? I guess I'm a little confused right now with
The contract from Trone?
yes. So will we be seeing that? And because I prefer to see that before I vote. I mean, maybe we could accept the bid and then vote on the contract
Agreed.
to approve the contract. So I can accept the bid. I can vote to accept the bid tonight, but for a contract, I would, in order to get a vote out, I want to see it.
Okay.
Is there any additional? If not, I have one quick question. It looks like Interstate was actually the lowest bid. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Auxilio was the lowest responsible bidder. So Interstate neglected to give us pricing for maintenance staff. Only custodial was in their bid.
Got it. Thank you. Is there any additional for Ms. Rudolph?
I have one question. Ms. Rudolph, I know in some areas we've had employees who don't feel safe working. Has the custodial team been able to provide sufficient staffing during the pandemic?
They have.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any additional? I just want to make sure that we're not, moving forward in the same direction if there were any substantive issues before we move forward with this recommendation. At the same time, I understand, what transition entails.
Right. Mr. President, I think someone had asked about if it was a 1 year or a 2 year. When I'm looking at the tabulation sheet, it says the base bid, and then for 2 additional years, it will be $2,203,381.
So the base bid is for 1 year.
Right. And then it said
the next one is for 2. So that's 2 years.
Two additional years would be $2,203,381. Which goes up. I was just giving that clarification.
So 1 year would be half of that amount. So 1 year would be half of that amount, right? Okay.
Yeah, I was just doing the clarification.
Thank you. Is there any additional before we move forward with this? Does the board wish to move forward with approving this bid at this point? And then approve a contract separately, or what is the board's preference?
Mr. President, the topic sheet actually reads just that we're just approving the award of the bid. We can approve the contract at a later date.
Yeah, it just needs to come back to us. That's all.
Right.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, at this point, if there's no additional discussion, we'll move forward with the bid. With the vote, excuse me.
Thunderbird,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Kyles,
Yes.
Kennard, Ms. Kennard, Terrell,
Yes.
Thank you. Kennard. Wester is yes. Martell.
Yes, motion carries. At this point in time, we'll turn it back over to Ms. Rudolph for the Hell Creek flooring action item.
The next item is the Hell Creek flooring. This is an item that we are wanting to tack on to the high school project, in that we had already bid out flooring for the high school. So we're wanting to use the same vendor. The flooring at Hell Creek, as with a lot of our buildings, is at end of life. And so it was on our list of sinking fund projects for the year. So I'm just asking for your approval for that dollar amount for the Hell Creek flooring.
Is there a motion on the floor from the board?
Yes, Funderburg. Mr. President, be it resolved that the Board of Education accept the change order to the high school project to include Hell Creek flooring to take advantage of an already existing bid. The rationale: carpet at Hell Creek is on our current list of projects under the sinking.
Support by Wester.
I'm sorry, I think we lost you for a minute. If we could,
I think she froze up.
hey, we could reread or wait just a brief moment till she rejoins us fully and get the full motion on the record.
Mr. President, next previous bid, this is Ms. Kennard, I'm back in.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard.
Yes, and I text you my vote.
Got to let the record reflect that. If you want to
Yes.
state your vote publicly for the record.
Yes, Ms. Kennard.
For the record, my vote was yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Kennard. Ms. Funderburg, are you back with us?
It looks like she froze up.
Okay, if somebody else would like to read that topic sheet, and then I think she just left out and she'll be coming back in.
Mr. Martell, I can read it. I lost internet too and had to come back. So, be it resolved that the Board of Education accept the change order to the high school project to include Hale Creek flooring to take advantage of an already existing bid. The rationale: carpet at Hale Creek is on our current list of projects under the sinking fund. The current carpet is at end of life, unraveling and duct taped in some areas. The budget implication is $89,047 from the sinking fund. And the exhibits was the Flooring Services Inc. quote and the IDS plan.
Mr. President, support Kennard.
Moved by Ms. Beard, supported by Ms. Kennard. Is there any discussion? Or questions for Ms. Rudolph regarding the same?
I'm sorry.
Is there any discussion by the board or questions for Ms. Rudolph regarding this this bid recommendation? Ms. Funderburg is back with us. Ms. Funderburg, just a quick update. The motion is on the floor regarding the Hell Creek flooring, and we're in discussion right now. And we will wait just a moment to see if there's any discussion before we go on to a roll call. Okay, if there's no discussion, Ms. Wester, may we have a roll call, please?
Kennard,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Funderburg,
Yes.
Wester is yes. Martell.
Yes, motion carries. At this point in time, I'll turn it back over to Ms. Rudolph for the school loan revolving fund.
Okay, so that's the last item. This is our application that we need to do for the school bond loan fund. This is an annual application that basically gives an estimate of what we intend to borrow to service our debt. Just quickly, the School Bond Loan Fund helps us and other school districts to even out our debt payments so that we don't have to take our tax levy up and down and up and down. We can keep it steady. And in the beginning years of the bonds, the School Bond Loan Fund helps us to pay that debt, whereas later down the road, we would just be paying back the School Bond Loan Fund, and we would not, we wouldn't change our levy amount.
Mr. President, I'm in motion.
Yes, go ahead, please.
The Board of Education approved the estimated borrowing of $4,375,000 for the school loan revolving fund for the 2029 rationale needed to pay the debt service cash flow needs in the 2021 school year if revenues are less than anticipated. The budget implications is no general fund impact, and the exhibits are as resolution for school loan revolving fund in the amount of $4,375,000 for the debt service fund.
Support.
Moved by Ms. Kennard, supported by Ms. Wester. Discussion, please. If there's no other questions, Ms. Rudolph, so just for the general public, in case we don't receive the funds that we anticipate in the upcoming year, this will protect us. The revenues, excuse me. This will protect us.
Yes, we use this money to basically to make up the difference between what we collect and what is due.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board for Ms. Rudolph regarding this action? If there is not, we will move forward with roll call, please.
Kennard,
Yes.
Thunderbird,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Martell.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Rudolph. Before we go into the next portion of the section, I've been getting a lot of inquiries as far as updates on the food service. Have we had opportunity, or do we have an expected date where that will go out?
It has gone to the next level, which is to the state. It will go in the paper this week and go out to the list of approved vendors as soon as she approves it.
Thank you so much. Glad to hear and glad to have an answer for the public and the community. At this point in time, we're going to move forward into the next portion of the agenda. Report of the board superintendent, or excuse me, board president. And I'll be brief. I've been pretty vocal lately about my preferences for moving into the for fall planner, moving into the upcoming year. And my preference, both as a parent and as a community member and a board member, is to provide parents with a choice. And I've expressed that greatly. Whatever option it's our job to provide options. It's parents' jobs to choose which best option fits their situation, which safe option fits their situation. So that's my position on that. However, I've received a lot of critique from parents, and rightfully so. How can we, as a board, ask, or expect parents to send their children back to school when we, as a board, are still meeting via Zoom? And I will reiterate my position and my request that as soon as we are legally permitted to resume board meetings in a safe social distancing atmosphere, which preferably to me would be high school auditorium spaced out, which would also give the audience enough room to participate if they so choose. Again, I advocate for choices. So that's all I have to say today. And I'm going to move forward into the next portion of the agenda, which is the communications from the public. This communications from the public is not limited to agenda items. As Vice President Piles indicated earlier, no attacks, no personal attacks, limited to 3 minutes. And questions will be answered timely, but not immediately. So that's a brief. But at this point in time, I'm going to open the floor back up for the community. If you would like to address the board, please unmute yourself, adhere to the policies and procedures, and unmute yourself and introduce yourself. The floor is yours. And if you're participating via telephone, to unmute yourself, I believe it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it *6? And we will just wait a few moments to provide an open floor for the public. If they would like to address the board today, there's a lot going on. And we invite you and encourage you to address. Okay, at this time, we're going to move forward to the next portion of the board, or of the agenda, excuse me, communication from the board members. There are any board members which wish to address at this time? The floor is yours.
Mr. President, this is Teresa Beard.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to ask the public to please participate in our superintendent search interviews. The links are on our website to attend the interviews. I do know that Jay Bennett, our coordinator for MASB, is supposed to have some type of a survey feedback form for people to fill out after the interviews to provide us with feedback. This is a good way for us to get feedback from our stakeholders. So I am encouraging our community to please watch the interviews and participate with those feedback forms. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beard. Are there any additional from the board?
Mr. President.
Yes, Ms. Piles, please.
So as we finalize our back to school plans, whether that's back to face or virtual learning, whatever that looks like, obviously we are creating those plans through the filter of, but I would once again like to reiterate that we take a very intentional and deliberate approach in ensuring in addition to health, the social and emotional wellness of our students and staff, and that we come up with develop a systematic K-12 approach that ensures our students have the tools to not only exceed academically, whether that's face-to-face or virtually, but socially and emotionally as well. And if it's believed that a task force is needed for this, or people internally, whatever it takes, I just don't want that to be overlooked. I would encourage that we develop a team where leaders gather subject matter experts, and we reach outside of ourselves and evaluate the types of programs that we have in place, as well as the studying best practices, and create a plan that promotes wellness and resilience within our districts in every building. And I think it's important that we cultivate a community of acceptance that removes the stigmas associated with asking for and getting help. And that will be critical to the success of whatever plan we develop, because there are those stigmas attached. We need to break them down, but we also need to have something that is intentionally developed to address those things when we return.
Thank you, Ms. Piles. Is there any additional from the board?
Yes, Mr. President, this is Ms. Kennard.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to, if any way possible, that in the near future that we can get some updates on the high school renovation project. I've been getting a lot of inquiries on that, and that would be very helpful if we can get something, pertaining to that moving into the school year. And the next thing is that to everyone, follow the social distances practices and stay safe.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard. Is there any additional from the board? Not, well, then we're going to move into the next portion of the agenda. I'm sorry, was there any additional from the board?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, so we're going to move into the next portion of the agenda. We have a closed session, actually two closed session items this evening. So do we have, I'll just read the motion. Motion on moving to closed session under MCLA 15.268A to hear complaints brought against an employee if the employee requests a closed hearing. Do we have confirmation that that request has been made?
Yes.
Okay. So
Support.
at this point in time, and also we have closed session for consideration of written legal opinion of counsel is permitted under the Open Meetings Act. Motion by myself, Martell,
Support.
supported by Ms. Wester. Do we have a roll call, please?
Thunderbird. Beard.
Yes.
Piles.
Yes.
Terrell.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Thunderbird. Wester is yes. Thunderbird. Yep. Martell.
Yes. Motion approved. We're going to go into closed session. There'll be a short delay. To board members, if we could take a 2-minute recess prior to going into closed session. And of course, everybody should have the link. And for the general public, we will be back as soon as closed session has concluded. Thank you. Board members, please remember to log out of the open session, please.
Going into closed session now. I keep on
Yes, ma'am.
losing my signal.
Yeah, we're
Close.
closed.
Sorry about that.
No
Okay.
problem.
Do we got everybody?
Sorry, guys.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for being patient. At this point in time, I want to make a motion to come out of closed session. Is there support, please?
Support.
Moved by myself, Martell, supported by Ms. Piles. If there's no discussion, can we have a roll call, please?
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Thunderbird,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Martell,
Yes.
9:40.
9:40, we are out of closed session. At this point in time, I want to make a motion to adjourn. Before I do, I want to remind everybody that we're gonna, we have, interviews tomorrow and the next day, and also a special meeting on Thursday. So it's gonna be a very busy week. We got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make a motion to adjourn,
Support.
supported by Ms. Piles. Roll call, please.
Piles,
Yes.
Thunderbird,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Wester. Wester, yes, Martell.
Yes, meeting adjourned.
9:41.
And can I get confirmation? I believe one of those meetings starts at 5 p.m.
Yes, tomorrow starts at 5 p.m.
Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Please, everybody, join us. We're going to be doing interviews. Thank you for joining us tonight. Everybody have a good night. Stay safe.